All right, everybody, we are so glad to have Allison here from CPP Investments. And Allison, you know what I almost did? I almost said CPPIB, right? And I'm sure you're getting this nonstop because that's how a lot of people know it. But rebrand CPP Investments, which is awesome. Before I get into it, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone? Tell us what you do at CPP Investments. I've known you for a while in the campus space, and you've been someone that I've always looked up to and enjoyed working, usually across the aisle from. But do you want to tell everyone what you do?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure to be on the line with you, and I guess we'll do the best of what we can in this virtual catch up. But as Mike said, my name is Allison Pasique. I am the manager of campus recruitment in here. I have been with the company for over 7 years, and 4 of those I have spent on the experienced hiring team. And about 3 years ago, the role to lead the global campus recruitment had opened up, and after long consideration and a bit of a waiting game, decided to put my hand up, and here I am 3 years later.
Amazing, amazing. So, like I said, I've always known you as super passionate about campus. What led to that passion for you?
It's a bit of a long journey. So you
We'll
wouldn't
we'll
know
buckle in.
me.
We're ready for this ride. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, a long time ago, probably almost 20 years ago, I have been graduating my master's in biochemistry and thinking, okay, do I see myself staying in the lab for the rest of my life? And the answer was no. And I decided that I wanted a little bit more of social and sort of something a little bit more connected to the people, more communication, more presentations, and what have you. So, went into the law school and was fortunate enough to get a summer internship in the downtown Manhattan firm. And that's where I realized it's great. I will probably graduate the law school, but I just don't see myself as part of that ecosystem. And so at that time, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and connection after connection, conversation after conversation, joined a startup recruitment firm and have been doing that ever since, and never regret it. So I've gone through a bunch of agency gigs, have done a couple of corporate positions, one at Microsoft, one in the public accounting firm, which I think that's where we
That's where
have
we first met.
originally met over 10 years ago, probably. So it's been a while. It's been quite a ride. But again, here at CPP Investments, it almost feels like a new role every couple of years. So it's all good.
Yeah, amazing. And so why should students watching this see CPP Investments as an ideal employer?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the ideal employer. Maybe let me take a little bit of a step back and tell you a bit more about the company, because sometimes I feel like it's the best kept secret in this company. So, as Mike alluded, CPPIB before has been formed in 1997, and we were formed to help sustain the CPP fund, and that has been our sort of mandate to invest and achieve the maximum rate of return without undue risk of loss. And we have been doing this for over 20 years. Now, the trajectory of our fund is quite amazing. It's pretty much like a hockey stick, and we have started with about 12 million from the CPP originally 20 years ago. And at the end of the first quarter, which is the end of June of this year, we have broke $500 billion mark, and we are projected to grow beyond 3 trillion by 2050. So it is part of this highly sort of rapidly growing organization. And if the growing trajectory is not enough of a reason for someone to join, I will throw a very high performance. So again, as of the end of the Q1, we have reported on 11.1% of net nominal 10-year annualized returns, which, to put it in a more plain language, means that we have generated over $320 billion for the fund over 10 years. So originally it has been invested all passively, and right now we have a lot of money to invest, and with that we have to be global, we have to be diversified. So that means that we need to have enough investment strategies, which basically means that we have 25 investment strategies, and we are a PE fund, we are a real estate fund, we are a venture capital fund. We invest in the emerging markets, in the established markets, you name it. And so, what's near and dear to my heart after working in some regional offices, if you will, is that here in Toronto, we are in the headquarters. It will remain to be the heart of the company where the important decisions are made. And overall, we have 9 locations globally, and we are invested in more than 50 countries. So it's sort of this wonderful success that was born in Canada, that has been fostered in Canada, and will remain in here. And throughout the years, we have been working on our governance structure. And right now, we're being recognized for being the top sort of pension funds, and a lot of other international funds are looking at us and mimicking the practices that we have established a long time ago. So that's a little bit about who we are, and our culture is grounded in our guiding principles. And so I would encourage everybody to visit our website to educate themselves in what we have to offer and really make a decision. Are we an ideal employer for yourself? The answer might be yes, the answer might be no, but you will be coming from this position of the due diligence of doing your research and answering that question for yourself. Because I drank the Kool-Aid day one, and I continue to do so. But don't take my word for it. Do your own homework.
Yeah, absolutely. So well said. And it's funny, I do get a lot of students always asking me about, large Canadian organizations. If you're a Canadian student, you're a Canadian citizen, you grew up here maybe, or maybe you're from a different country, but this is where your roots are going to be. And they often say, I'd love to find a great large Canadian organization. And so, some big companies come to mind, some of the banks come to mind automatically. Some of the big retail players come to mind. And for me, CPP always comes to mind as well as a well-established pension fund in Canada, one that is well known around the world, and as you say, is very looked at as a high-performing organization.
Yeah, we're one of the world's largest, most sophisticated and successful investment firms in the world.
Yeah, yeah. So well said. And so, Allison, what do you look for when you're looking for top recruits? I mean, everyone knows, I think everyone knows, or they should know if they don't, that we're talking about high performance here. So what is it that you look for?
Yeah, it's a good question. And again, going back to visiting our website, would encourage everybody to look at different programs that we have to offer, as we have a couple of rotational programs. We have one for CPA, we have one in finance and analytics and risk for non-CPA, but we also have, in my opinion, one of the most rich rotational program on the fundamental investment side, where you get to rotate among well, you actually get 3 rotations, but your options are among 4 departments, and that spans over equity and debt and public and private markets. And to my knowledge, there is no other investment company that is offering something as rich as this program does. We also hire a lot straight to desk for our sort of communications and public relations, some roles in the capital markets department and the total portfolio management. So just from the names of these departments, you can sort of start drawing some conclusions that different functional skills would be required for this, and interest in those areas would be required. But and all of that is true. But what's more important for us is what we refer to as leadership skills. And so we're universally going to continue to assess ability to grow beyond the role. It's relatively simple to assess ability to deliver in the role, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for someone who has high learning agility, high curiosity, grit, someone who would be sort of willing to maybe jump from one function to another or from one location to another. And we will be here to kind of provide with the right ecosystem that will give you the formal training, the on-the-job learning, the mentorship and supportive colleagues, and what have you. And with that, when we're on campus, and I know it's a little bit of a trend right now, but I think we've been doing this for maybe a little bit longer than some other companies. When we started looking for the educational diversity, educational background diversity. And so we have one of our SMDs, and he said something that stuck with me for a long time. He said, if you hire 10 people that think absolutely the same way, it's the value of having one person and having a conversation with one. So we have programs for younger STEM students. We have programs for people who come from non-traditional educational background in the anticipation of building those diverse teams that look at the programs from different angles. And so when we're looking for the students, we're obviously trying to target different schools. We're trying to target different educational backgrounds. But as I said, universally, what we're looking for is this sort of endless curiosity and sort of that thirst for learning and drive to perform that will sort of be in line with one of our guiding principles and the high performance.
Now, to do that, you've got to have an awesome team because you're going through not just, it's not a narrow band of candidates that you're looking at because you're looking at this breadth when you're talking about diversity. How can students navigate your awesome team?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Our team is small but mighty. We have three advisors here in Toronto, and all of them are quite active on LinkedIn. So I would encourage you to look them up, to find them, and to follow them on LinkedIn because most of them would be posting quite often, whether it comes to the upcoming events or the tips for recruitment, you name it. And that's the platform for us to communicate with a lot of the students. And on and so the team from Toronto provides support and recruits for the Americas locations. So that would include Toronto, the US locations, and Brazil. And we also have talent acquisition people on the ground in London, UK, and in Hong Kong. And so from those locations, they do hire for Europe and for Asia Pacific. So again, LinkedIn is our best platform to connect. Our recruiters are responsible for their own portfolios, but all of them have quite interesting content to share. So that probably is the best and the easiest way.
Yeah, fantastic. So what is the, I'm gonna use a buzzword here because I know a lot of people are gonna be watching this video because they're thinking buy side, right? And so what is the secret to success for students looking to land a job on the buy side? And before we go too far, maybe Allison, if you can describe to everyone watching sort of the difference between buy side and sell side. I'm thinking about someone new in university or college thinking, what the heck does that mean? And maybe they're embarrassed to ask, but now they'll know.
Sure. Well, I would again encourage you to look it up, and oversimplifying this, at the bottom, at the foundation, you have the research in analytics. That's probably the work that anybody would be doing on the buy side or on the sell side. But basically, the sell side is when you work for a brokerage and you generate advice for your clients, and the buy side is when you will be employed by an institutional investor such as pension funds, such as mutual fund or an insurance company or what have you, where you're not advising directly to the clients, but you are making sure that it is in line with the strategy that the company has. And so I am glad, Mike, that you have phrased your question the way you have, because there is this myth, and I am happy that we're busting it, that you need to start on a sell side and only after a couple of years you will be considered for a buy side. That's not true. Maybe it was 5, 7 years ago, but you can successfully start on a buy side right now. And as I mentioned, we have a couple of programs. One of them is Discover programs that targets younger students in the first and the second summers of their undergraduate studies from the STEM programs. And we are hiring into the capital markets program, into the total portfolio management department. So I would encourage you to look into that, and just if you're interested in the industry, start following the news, start sort of connecting the dots yourself. And what's going to help you tremendously is your ability to sort of connect those dots, to ask the questions. And the more sort of factual information you will get, the richer experience is going to be for you once you get an internship. And just be curious, do your research, pay attention to the details when you're working on your resume. Make sure that you address the cover letter to the right company, to the right recruiter. Be honest, be yourself, all of those things that any of us would say. At the end of the day, we want to interact with the real you, whether it's on paper or in person during an interview. So find the way to kind of carry over that authentic yourself that you will hopefully bring to the workplace later on.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I love that you dispelled that myth because, I'm from a certain vintage where that was probably a little more true. But as I've gone through my career, and I'll sit in at events with women in capital markets or 100 women in finance. I'm just thinking of a couple that stood out to me
Yeah.
where CPP was, highlighted, or they had certain people speaking at it. And it's funny because, yeah, their story was, no, that's where they started. And so it's great to dispel that. And so students watching that are thinking, I really love the buy side, can I start there? The answer is absolutely yes.
100%.
So maybe we'll end with this question, and it's going to be overarching because we talked about some of the really cool programs and the different things you're doing. But why should students want to join CPP Investments today?
Um, we're still a growing company, and I find what differentiates us from quite a few other players in the financial industry here in Toronto is that we'll continue that expansion for a number of years to come. So you're not going to join the team or join the group where your job will be to keep the lights on. You will be part of that sort of continuous growth opportunities, and you will be part of the location where the decisions are made and the global outreach. I find that a lot of companies are claiming to be global, but very few actually are. And so not only we have global presence in 9 locations, but we're truly thinking about partnering with partners globally, and making sure that we're just pouring more energy into those. And again, it might be for you, it might not be for you. So I would encourage you to do your research about us, about any other employer, and just pour your energy into those maybe few that you decide to focus on, and believe in yourself.
Yeah, so well said. And I love the fact that the advice is students do some research, especially in a field like yours where it's so research intensive. The job is. So if you can't do the research on the job side, you're going to
Yeah.
struggle when you get the actual role, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. Allison, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been great chatting with you. And students, make sure to check the website out for CPP Investments and apply now. It's the fall. It's hot. Things are happening. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck, everyone.